Hi there. Today we are diving into the exciting world of JavaScript to build a dynamic code game from scratch. If you love coding and building unique projects, you are in the right place. I upload unique project videos every week. Make sure to subscribe our channel Sarachandar K and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. First, let's take a look at what we'll be creating today. Our dynamic memory code game will allows you to select game levels such as easy for 2 into 2, normal for 3 into 4, expert of 4 into 4. Below we have a option to start the game. Once we click, the tool will automatically load the dynamic code based on the selection. We have a 4 codes because we have selected 2 into 2 easy level. Now we need to select the codes and match the following. If it's wrong, we'll get that shake effect. If it's correct, we'll get that bounce effect. If all the code matches, we'll get the congratulation message. And below we have a reset icon. If we click, tool will automatically reset all the codes and display the game selection again. Now if we select same level again, we'll get the different icons inside here. Again I will reset and I will jump to normal level. If I start the game, it will display 3 columns and 4 rows as dynamic. Again I will reset and jump to the expert level. If I start the game, it will display 4 columns and 4 rows dynamically. If you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Make sure to subscribe. Your support means a lot. That helps me to create more content for you. Now let's jump into the code. Let's open this project folder in my favorite code editor, Visual Studio Code. Let me know yours favorite and why in our comment box below. Inside the directory, I have already created index.html, style.css and script.js. In the index.html, I have already added the HTML boilerplate with the help of exclamation mark. Along with that, I have changed the title to Memory Card Game by Sharachandar K. And below I have linked other two files style.css and script.js. Next to this I have added one more link tag to use the font awesome icons with the help of font awesome CDN. Inside the body will add h1 tag of the heading will say memory code game. Next to this we are going to add the div with class of container. In Visual Studio Code, we have a embed abbreviation to add this with dot container and hit enter. It will automatically create the div tag with class attribute with the value of container. Inside this container, I need to add one more div with class of start game. Inside this start game, I need to add three more code with the help of embed abbreviation dot code asterisk 3. If we hit enter, it will create three codes with div. Inside the first code, I will add two more div with front and back. I will copy this and I will paste it into the other codes. The front div contains text of easy, back div as 2 into 2. This is two rows and two columns. And then second div as normal and this contains 3 into 4. And then last code contains expert back value of 4 into 4. Along with this, we need to add some more attributes with level equal to 2 and column equal to 2. We'll set the row equal to 2. I will copy these attributes and I will set into the other codes and I will change the value to 6 here and then last one as 8 and for the column is 3, row is 4. The same as this, the column is 4, row as 4. Below to this code I will add one more button value of start game. Let us see our HTML file in action. For that in Visual Studio Code we have a extension called go live. If we click go live in the status bar, it will automatically run our project into the default browser. Here we can see the heading of memory card game as well as the card details with button. Now we need to style this. For that I need to jump to the style.css. I have already added the import URL of font family poppins. Along with that I have added the global selector to reset the margin to 0, padding to 0, box sizing border box and font family as poppins from the import URL. I need to add the styles to the body with the help of element selector. We'll set the background color as blue, min I2, 100 VH, display to flags, align items to be center, justify content to be center. We'll set the flux direction to be column. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the background color as well as the content is placed into the center of the screen. Next thing, we'll add the styles to this container. With the help of class selector with dot the value of container, we'll set the background color to white. If I save, we'll get the changes directly affected here. That is how the live server will work. We'll set the border radius to 10 px, padding to 25 px. We'll set the box shadow of 14 px of that shadow on that position with the color of black. If I save, we can see this and we'll set the margin top to 10 px to add some space between header and then code. Next to this, we need to add the styles to this start game. Same with class selector of start game. We'll set the display to flags gap of 25 px to the each chords. We'll set grid template column. Repeat for 3 and 100 px. Same thing. Grid template rows. Repeat for 3 and 100 px. If I save, we'll get this. Instead of row to be 3, I will set for 1. If I save, we'll get that only one row here. Now we need to add the styles to this code. With the help of start game and code, we'll set the font size to 1.2 rem. User select to none. We'll add styles to all code. We'll set text align to center, cursor to pointer, font size to rem. Inside the code, we have a two divs. So for that, we need to add the styles with code and div. We'll set the width of 100 px, height of 100 px, line height to 100 px. We'll set the color of blue, background color to white, border radius to 10 px. We'll set the transition all 500 millisecond years out. We'll set the background visibility to be hidden. This will set to hide the background of this box shadow 0, 3 px, 10 px of position with RGBA color red to 0, green to 0, blue to 0 and alpha should be 0.1. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the chords. We'll set the position to absolute. We can see the chords. It's placed to the center of the screen. Instead of this display to flags, we'll set to grid. If I save, now we can see the chords here with columns of 3 and then row of 1. This start button should be into the center, right? For that we can simply add the span tag before and after the button. It will automatically taken care of this column as 1, 2 and then 3. If I go to the browser, here we can see the start game button into the center of the grid. Now we need to add the styles to this. For that I will use dot start game with button element selector. Will set the cursor pointer height of 40 px. Will remove the outline with none. Will remove the border to none. Will set the border radius to 5 px. Will set the box shadow same as card. So I will copy this from above and I will paste it here. Will set the color of text should be white. Background color to blue color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the start game button with background color. Here we can see the code backside only. So we need to set to front side of easy. Here we have added the two divs with easy and back. Right now we have visible only the back side. The first time we need to visible the front side. Once we over, we need to show the back side. Before that, we need to click on set the active class to this. For the first code, it will be active all the time. I will use this class of subclass with active. I will set the start game dot code dot active. For this, we'll set the div of border 2px solid with blue color. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the first code is active on the load. We need to select and we need to set other codes active using JavaScript. So for that we stay tuned, and as I said, we need to change this over effect at code of back. We'll set the transform to rotate y of minus 180 degree. If I save, if I go to the browser, now we can see the 2 into 2 on the back side because we have rotated this to 180 degree. Instead of x, I will set to y. Once we over, we need to turn back right. For that, we'll add the start game dot code of over, and I need to change the back side of this code. So I will use the back. Will set the transform rotate y to 0 degree. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, we can see the backside is flipping, but the front is still is there. We need to do the animation of 3D effect. For that, I need to use the same class. Instead of back, I need to set to front. This front will be transformed to 180 degree. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I over, now we can see the 3D effect code change. Once we over, we'll get the back side. Once we remove, we'll get that front side. Now once we click start game, we need to hide this and we need to set the code based on the selection. For that, we need to add one more element here. Next to this start game, we'll add one more div with class value of playground. End of this, we'll add the I tag with class of fa solid fa repeat. If I close this tag, if I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the repeat icon. We need to add the styles to this. I will copy this and I will jump to the style.css. We'll use the class selector of dot repeat. We'll set the font size to 25px, margin top to 1.5 rem, cursor to pointer. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the icon. For the download, we need to hide this. I will use the inline style with style display none. If I save, we'll not get that repeat icon here. Now we need to add the functionality with the help of JavaScript. For that, I need to jump to the script.js. In the script.js, we need to add the declarations. For that, I will use the const with the variable value of start game container equal to document dot query selector of that start game. I will go here and I will copy this class. If it is class, we need to use the dot with that class value. I will add the console.log to check what this start game container contains. If I save, if I go to the browser, here in the console, we'll get that entire start game div here. That is how the DOM tree will work. Here I have declared all the declaration. What are the things we are going to use in this project? This is what the container, this is what all the codes, and this is button, and this is the playground. We are going to add the dynamic codes, and this is fa repeat of that reset icon. Along with that, I need to add some global variables with let levels equal to 2. This is by default. Columns equal to 2, rows equal to 2, and matched codes equal to 0, and we'll get that code 1 to check code 2 to match these two codes, and is prevent click equal to true. Here we can see the card game with cards. So once we click the cards, we need to get that selection to this cards, right? Then only we can get to start game. For that we need to add the add event listener to all these cards with the help of this. Here with for each of element inside this, I will add the console.log to check all the elements. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the three codes, that is get from an query selector all from an class value of codes. For this we need to set the click event to each codes with the help of element dot add event listener of click. We'll set the function value. Inside the function I need to add the console.log to check what is this e contains. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on each code, we'll get this pointer event. Instead of e, I will set to e.target. If I go on refresh, if I click on easy, we'll get this back. If I click on normal, we'll get 3-4. If I click on 4, we'll get this. But we have set this active code into the codes, right? If I click, we'll get this back code because we are over and it is the div present. Instead of this, we need to set to active in this the parent element. For that, we'll get that dot of parent element. If I save, if I go to the browser, the console, if I click, we'll get that code. If I click, we'll get that. Now we can easily add the active code to this. So e dot target dot parent element dot class list dot add of active class. If I save, if I go to the browser, we'll click, it is adding this active, but other things we need to remove. For that, inside this, already we are using this for each. Directly we can use this for each, and instead of element, I will set to el, and here inside this el dot class list dot remove that active class. Once we click this event, this for loop will get all the els like all the codes and remove the active class from here, and then we'll set the active to that target of clicked one. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click, here it is removed and here it is added. If I click here, all the codes it has removed and it is added to the target. Now we need to add the columns and rows based on this. So for that we have already added the levels equal to null. I will set the columns equal to null and rows equal to null. So these three parameters we need to set the values from this attribute. Once we hit start game, based on this parameter, will generate the dynamic codes and place it into the playground. As we same, we have already collected this parent element. Inside this parent element, we have a option to get that attribute. Get attribute of level. Then same thing, I will copy and I will paste it here for the column and row, and I will change the value to this. This is for column and this is for row. So before saving, I will check console.log of levels, columns and rows. Based on the selection, we need to get this. So for that, I will jump to the browser here in the console. If we hit easy, we'll get that level of 222. If I hit normal, we'll get that 6, 3 columns and 4 rows. If I hit on expert, we'll get 8 and then 4 of 4. With the help of this, we can create. Once we hit start, for the start game button, we have already declared the declaration. With the help of this, we'll add the add event listener of click of function. Once we click start, we need to completely hide this container, right? For that, we already created this start game container. We'll set the dot style dot display equal to none. This will set the inline style to the start container, and I need to show the playground dot style dot display equal to grid. If I save, if I go to the browser, now the EC is selected. If I hit on start, now the start game container is gone. Now we can see the playground here. But inside the playground, we need to generate the columns, right? For that, we need to create one more function with the function keyword with the value of create chords. Inside this create chord function, we are going to add some arrays. This is what the chord array, these are all the icons we are going to use in this project, and we need to shuffle these chords. For that, I will create one more function with shuffle chords. So for this, we need to send all the chords here. So here we have only one set of array, right? For this combination, we need a same value of 2 times. So how we can do that? Instead of creating this same value like this, we can reuse this same code. For that, we'll call this shuffle code function. We'll post this as an array with chord array. Here we are creating a array and we are pushing this array 2 times into this single array. Inside this shuffle code, I will add the console.log to check these codes. If I save, before that we need to initialize this inside the click event. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, we'll get array of 16. House and then house, it is pushing into the single array. Inside this shuffle code function, we need to create the playground. Before that, we need to reset all the playground value with playground dot inner HTML equal to empty, and then we'll set the for each of let of I equal to 0 chords dot length I plus plus. Inside this, we'll get that chord values like chords of array 1 to 3. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, here we'll get the arrays. So we need to bind the values based on this. Inside this for each, I will add playground dot inner HTML plus equal to. This will help us to add the element concatenation with this div with the help of class of chord. For this chord, we have already added the styles. Simply we need to append this like front and back. So I will copy this element. I will paste it inside here. For this front, we need to add the icons of question mark with the help of font awesome, solid and FA question. We'll close the icon here and then back contains same thing. I will copy this, I will paste it here, and instead of this FA question, we need to add this icon values. So for that we need to add FA hyphen with string concatenation of chords of for each with I. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, here it is generating the chords. So I will go and check. Here we have total 16 chords, but still it is not displayed because we need to add the styles to this playground also. For that, I will jump to the style.css. In the style.css, we'll add the styles to this playground. We'll set display to grid gap of 20 px. We'll set the display to none for the first time. If I save, if I go to the browser, here we can see the chords is adding on top of the grid. We need to set the grid template column repeat of 3 with 100 px. If I set here, we can see the chords is placing on the top. Here this is dynamic based on the chord selection, right? So for that, once we hit the start game, we need to set the styles to this. I will go to here. Next to this, we'll set the playground dot style dot grid template columns. As same as the start game, we need to add these two properties equal to null. For now, I will set the playground dot style dot grid template rows equal to, will set repeat same as this. For now I will set for 4 and 100 px. I will use the same to this also for the rows. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, we'll get the chords here because we have already added the chord style into the style.css. Here we have selected this as easy 2 into 2, but here we are getting 4 into 4 because we have directly set this value here. Instead of this, we need to set the string concatenation. So I will change this double quotes. This will help us to do the string concatenation. Else we need to do plus equal to So we are using this ES6 method. This is for column, what we have already created on top. This is for rows. If I go to the top, here by default, it is columns for 2, rows for 2. Once we select, it will set based on the selection. If I save, if I go to the browser, now here it is easy. If I click on start, we'll get all the cards. If I refresh, if I click on normal, here we'll get this. If I click on expert, if I click, we'll get. Once we click this easy, and we need to restrict from here also. For that, here in this array, we need to do the slice. We'll set the slice of starting from 0 and we'll set the levels here. The same thing I will copy and I will paste it for this same code array also. If I save, if I go to the browser, now it is 2 into 2. If I hit start, we'll get only 2 into 2. If I click on normal, hit start, we'll get that 3 into 4. And if I click on export, if I click start, we'll get this. Every time we are refreshing. Instead of that, we need to enable that repeat icon. Inside this shuffle code, we have already declared the declaration of fa repeat. We'll set the fa repeat of style dot display to block. This will help to show the element here. So again, if I click, now we can see this. Once we click, we need to reset that. For that, I need to create one more event declaration. fa repeat dot add event listener of click of function. Inside this, we'll set the start game container dot style dot display equal to grid, because we are going to show this codes as grid, and we'll set the playground dot style dot display equal to none. Once it is start screen, we need to set this fa repeat also display to none dot style dot display equal to none. And then we need to reset some of the values. So I will copy this inside this repeat. I will set this to null. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, here it is displayed. Here we can reset. If I go to the normal, if I start game, here it will get. If I reset, if I go to the expert, if I click on start, it will get. And here we can reset. Now once we start game, once we click, we need to rotate this, right? So how we can do that? So we need to add the event listener for this. Next to this function, I will create one more function with function keyword with the value of flip chord, and we'll pass the chord here. Inside this function, we'll add chord dot class list dot add of flip. So now we need to call this function on this chord. So I will set the on click of event listener. We'll set this flip chord directly here, and then we need to pause this to this. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, if I click, nothing is happened. So I will insert element. I will check if this class is added to this code. So here the class is added to this. If I click on this, now we can able to see the flip is added. So based on this flip, we need to rotate this. For that, I need to jump to the style.css. I can reuse this class of rotate of this front. I will use comma and then dot chord dot flip dot front, same as this. So I will copy this and I will reuse this class property with same back. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I hit on start, if I click this, cool, we'll get that flip effect here. So I can start game. If I click, it is flipping all the chords. Now we'll get that same icons. If I go to the expert, if I go and click, we'll get that icons here as same in this places based on the array values. So here these are all the array values we have placed. So we need to shuffle this array. So before that, once we click two chords, then only they should be flipped, and we need to do some animations to show the users it is correct or not. For that, in the script.js, in this flip chord, only two chords we need to flip. For that only, we have already created this global variable of chord 1 and chord 2. Now we need to check that chords. Inside this flip chord, we'll check this chord 1 not equal to chord. Then we'll flip it if not of chord 1. If this is empty, and we'll set the chord 1 equal to this chord whatever we are clicking, and then we'll return from here. Because first time once we click this, we need to set this chord into this chord 1, and then it will return from here. And then second time if we flick again, now we need to check this. For that we'll add the chord 2 equal to chord. So I will add the console.log here to check this both chords, chord 1 comma chord 2. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, if I click first chord, it will not get any console, because here we have added the if condition not of chord 1, then we'll set the chord and then it will return from here. So only the console is not executing. If I select on this second chord, now we'll get that. Here it is console.log. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click first chord, it will not show as I said. If I click on second chord, we'll get here. So the first chord is here. Once we over, we can see the flip chord flip here above. If I over to the second chord, we'll get here. And then next thing, if I click, this should not happen, right? For that, I need to create one more function with match chords. Inside this function, I need to pass the chord 1 value and chord 2 value. Inside this, I need to check if chord 1 value double equal to chord 2 value. If both matches, then we'll set that effect, else we need to set shake effect, right? For that I need to add some set timeout, because if directly set this shake effect to this, we can't get that animation. Here we have set this transition. For that, here we can see this transition of 500 milliseconds. So I will use this set timeout to add this with 500 millisecond here. This will help us to match this, and we'll set the chord 1 dot class list dot add of shake. We'll add this class. I will use to add this same for chord 2 also. If this is matches, we need to return from here. So the same thing, if it matches, we need to add one more class here with match. If I save, if I go to the browser, in the element, I will open this playground. Now it is empty. If I hit on start game, we'll get that element data from JavaScript. Here we can see these chords. If I click, now this is home. If I click, now it is bomb, but nothing is happened. Why? Because here we have created this function, we have not yet initialized it. For that, in the top, I will change this console.log to this initialization. Before that, I will add let chord1 value equal to chord1 dot query selector of back element with dot inner html. This will get this inner HTML of this second one. Anyway, we are going to check with this icon only, right? So I will use this and I will add the same thing for chord 2 value also. Then I need to pass this value to here. Then this function will automatically check this match chords based on the selection from here. I will jump to the browser. Here inside the container, the playground is empty. If I hit start game, here we have added the chords. Once we click this, it is flipped, and again if I click this, here it is not matches and it is added the match here. Same thing if I add here, it is set to match. So why it is match? If these two things is match, then only we need to show this. Anyway, the first time the two things is not matched, then it is added as match here. We'll check that. We can add the console.log to check here. Else if I go to the browser, here in the source, in the script.js, we can go to this match function, and here we can set that debug. So I will start the game. I will click this. Now it will not going to it, because here it is written from here. And if I click this, now we'll get this. Here we can see the cot 1 as also house, and then cot 2 also house. Why? Because here we have set this both parameter as cot 1. Instead of this cot 1, I need to change to cot 2. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I start the game, now if I go to the elements to check if it is matches or not, if I click on first chord, it is flipped, and if I click on second chord, if it flips, and it's set to shake here. And if I refresh, if I start the game, if I click on first and if I click on second, now here it will set to match. So for this, we need to add the styles. For that, I need to jump to the style.css. So we need to add the styles to this chord.shake and chord.match. For this chord.shake, we need to add the animation with shake. This is a keyframe and we need to set for 0.35 second years in and out. And for the match, I need to set the same animation with a rubber band with 1 second linear and forwards. Now we need to add the keyframes for this. For the shake, I will add the keyframes with the help of add keyframes with the identifier of shake. The same thing I will copy and I will add it here and I will change these things to rubber band. For this shake, we need to add some percentage as 0 to 100 and then 20 and then 40 and 60 and 80. Inside this, we need to set the translate x to 13px right and left. It will automatically shake. The rubber band also I used to add the same thing with the help of 0 to 100 percentage, but here we need to set the transform of scale. So if I save, if I go to the browser, if I refresh, if I start the game, if I click, it will add the shake effect. If I refresh and if I add the matches, we'll get that rubber band effect. See, now still it is firing. We need to restrict that. So for that, inside this match code, I will remove the timeout here and I will remove the on click function to this code one dot remove attribute. We have a option to remove the attribute of on click. This will help to remove this on click method from here. So here if I go and check, we have this on click attribute, right? So this will help us to remove. I will remove this from the both selected div and we need to set the cot1 equal to null and cot2 also null. Then third time once we click this code, this will empty and this will set the class list to that new code and it will return from here and it will set to the cot1 and then second click it will set to here once it is matched. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, I will hit the code. Once we hit this, we need to flip it again. Then only we can check for other options, right? So for that, if this is matches, and again I will add the set timeout like this, and I will set the timeout now for 1200 millisecond. Inside this, I need to remove the class list with the help of remove, and I will set this for 2. Will remove the class list of shake from flip. These two classes we need to remove. If I save, if I go to the browser, in the playground now it is empty. If I start the game, here we have received the elements. If I click, the first code is set to that code 1, the second code is set to the code 2. Now the both is not matched and it is automatically flipped, and here we can see the shake and flip is removed from here. If I click and now it is not turning. Why? Because we need to set the cot1 and cot2 empty once it is matched. Once it is not matched, once we remove the flip and we need to reset the both codes. Then only we can check for other options. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start the game, I will click on this, it will flip. I will click on this is not matched and again it is turn around. Now the cot1 and cot2 is empty. If I click, now it will turn. If I click, it will be matched. Now if I click and if I click this, it is matched. Now it is matched all the codes. But user don't know what is happened. So we need to set the congratulations message to this. So once this is matched, we have already added the parameters of global selector matched plus plus. If matched plus plus of that variable double equal to levels. So only we have used this levels here. So for this card, we have the two levels because we need to flip two cards. If it is 3 by 4, we need to flip by 6 cards. If it is easy, we have a level of 2. We need to flip the cards for 2 times. If it is normal, we have this 3 columns and 4 rows. We need to flip by 6 cards. Same as for the 4 into 4, we need to flip by 8. So here I will check if both matches, and I will use to set that timeout to show the alert with alert of message says congratulations you won. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will set to this easy and I will flip. It is not match, it will shake. It is match, it will get the bounce. If it is match, will get, and within 500 millisecond will get that congratulations, and then user come to know the game is end, and again we can go on restart here. Again I will start the game. If I click, it is automatically opened all the time, and here we are getting some error also. Why? Because if this is happened, it is automatically open on the backside. We need to restrict that. For this only we have created one bool flag. Here is prevent click, so this is set to true. I will use this prevent click inside this flip. With this I will set undone is prevent click. The first time the chord 1 is not equal to chord because this is null and this is true, it will allow us to flip the first chord and it will set and it will return from here. Again we are clicking the second chord, it will check here and it will flip the second chord also, and it will not go inside this and it will flip the second chord, and then we need to prevent that. So I will use this is prevent from false here. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I hit on start game, if I click, now it is false all the time. It is not allowing to flip any of the chords. We need to fix this with that timeout. Once it's remove the flip, then we'll add these things to true. This will allow us to set this true after 1200 millisecond. Again it will set to true. It will allow us to flip the chords. Meanwhile all the chords will set to empty and it will work as same. So I will jump to the browser, I will hit on start game. Now I will click all the chords, it is not opening. Once this flips, then only we can click this. See, it is not clicking. Once it is flipped, then it is clicking. Now it is matched, I can't able to click this again. Once it is matched, we need to set the is prevent again, because here we have set this on the set time mode of not matched. The same thing we used to set on top of this. If this is prevent click equal to true on matched. Again I will jump to the browser, I will start the game. If I click, it will allow to open only two chords. If I click, it will rotate. If I click, it will be matched. Now again this prevent click will set to true. Now we can able to click this again. Once all the chord matches, we'll get that congratulations. Now the pending thing is we need to shuffle this. For example, if we go here, if I click on this home, we can see the order wise. User can directly click here and they can win the game. So but there is no use like this, right? We need to shuffle all the arrays based on the click event. That is the one final thing we need to done. For that I need to jump to the script.js. Before this shuffle code, now we are going to create one more function with const shuffle array. With the help of this const function, we'll pass the array and will shuffle this. Inside this I will create the for each. For the let index I will set I will add the array dot length here. We'll set that let I equal to array dot length minus 1. If I greater than 0, we'll set this I minus minus. Now I will show you console dot log this of array of I. I will use this shuffle array. I will use this caught array from above. If I save, if I go on click the console and I will start the game, we'll get the array values here. We can see 6 instead of house. This will get the bomb. So here we'll get that jet fighter, person biking, dragon, egg, gif, who, and then bomb, and then this one. Because we have set this I minus minus. With this minus minus, we need to get that I value here with a random one. For that I will create one more const with j equal to math.random. This math.random we need to set to floor of round, and we'll multiply this math.random with I plus 1. Now we'll get the j here, we'll put it inside this console.log to check this j also. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, here we can see the 6253110. If I refresh again, if I hit on start, we'll get that random values. Here you can see this, right? If I refresh, if I start, here we'll get that. Instead of this, we need to create and add it into the arrays. For that, I will create one more const j equal to array of I. Instead of j, I will change to temp. Now we'll check the console.log of this temp. Now I need to shuffle this array I value to the array j. How we can do that? Here array of I equal to array of j, and we'll set the array of j equal to temp. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I click on start game, we can see the different values. If I refresh again, if I hit on start, now here we'll get that random values. It will replace the array values from this array, because we are passing these array values from here, and it is replacing based on the randoms. So instead of this console, I will cut it from here and I will paste it here, and I will check this caught array from here after shuffled. If I save now, if I go to the browser, if I click on start, we'll get the shuffled array values here. We can see the 8 chords. If I refresh, if I hit on start again, we'll get the different values. Here you can feel the difference because the array values is shuffled based on the random. If this is a number, we can directly use that sort and random values with from here. So this is a string. We need to find this array length, and here we need to get that index value from this math.floor of this array length, and we can replace the value from here. Now here we have shuffled, and here we are passing this shuffled chords. If I save, if I go to the browser, if I start game, now here it will not get that house. Instead of house, we'll get that different icons. I will go to the expert level. Here it is house. Still it is same, because here we have shuffled this cot array from this const. Once we've passed this again, we need to shuffle this data also. For that, here we'll use the same thing of this shuffle array. Now we'll set the chords here instead of chord array. If I save, if I go to the browser, I will click on expert. If I check this, now we can see the different icons placed here. So I can open all the chords. I will do the changes. So now I will try to open all the chords from this expert level. If all the chords match, we'll get that congratulations message. Again, I can reset. I can go to the easy. Here we can flip the chords. We'll get the different icons because we have shuffled the array. I will reset and I will go to the normal mode of this 3 into 2. Now we'll try to open all the chords. Finally, we have completed this. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on creating dynamic chord games with JavaScript. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. If you are interested in JavaScript projects like this, I have created and added a playlist link in the description. Please do check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.